Superman El Ultimo Escape was the last Morgan hypercoaster ever built. It opened in 2004 at Six Flags Mexico, and it was actually originally supposed to open in 2002. Due to an issue with the Mexican government involving the land the ride was using, the ride didn't open until 2 years later. And this is a pretty unique layout. If you've done Mamba or Steel Force, a Wild Thing, this one stands out from all of those. Those three rides follow a very traditional out and back layout, and the same can't quite be said about Superman. It does go out, but in a way it's more of a twister section. Airtime is not the main focus of the ride, though I will say the airtime moments that Superman does have end up being my favorite parts. The ride is of course themed to Superman. When you enter the queue, it completely looks like the Daily Bugle. It's actually really well done, reminds me a little bit of Spider-Man's queue at Islands of Adventure, except you'll find giant billboards everywhere, of course in Spanish, explaining Superman. And then when you get later into the queue, you see some of his allies, villains. And a little fun fact for you that some of you might not know, Superman El Último Escape actually translates to Superman the Last Escape, not Superman Ultimate Escape. So, the more you know. If you ask the average person who visits Six Flags Mexico, they'll tell you that Superman is the best ride there. And I can understand why. It stands 220 feet in the air, just over a 200-foot drop, 75 miles per hour, almost 5,600 feet of track. So yeah, it's a long ride. And it has great use of the terrain. Six Flags Mexico is a pretty hilly park, so whenever they build an attraction, they have to keep that in mind. And in Superman's case, the most notable example of this can be seen right when you leave the station. Superman has a pretty impressive pre-lift. You roll out of the station and drop into an airtime hill. Now, I wouldn't say that this start to the ride will send you exactly like flying up out of your seat like it'll be totally crazy. It's just supposed to be fun. It's a very cool, unique way to start out an attraction. I think it is possible you might get a little bit of air, but just note that you aren't going super fast. If anything, consider a preview of what is to come. You're banking low to the ground, and that's what sends you into your brakes. You come to a slow stop, and then turn left into the lift hill. And this is a long lift. It takes almost a minute to get up to the top. But let me tell you, I love this view. Because it's the tallest attraction at Six Flags Mexico, you can see everything from up there. You look to the right, you see the park, all of its rides and attractions, and because Superman is located right up front, this was actually the first ride that we did, and so I had never seen the rest of Six Flags Mexico before riding this. So we're going up the lift, and I look to the right, and I'm like, whoa, there it is. That's all of the rides here. That's crazy. You look to the left, and you see Mexico City. That was one thing I did not expect going into this ride, but was very pleased with. So now you enter your drop, and this isn't exactly a steep descent. You drop at a 60-degree angle. And unlike most traditional roller coasters, Superman doesn't start with the steepest part of the drop first. It kind of goes into a little divot, which if you're in the back, that's a cool moment for airtime. Before then, it pulls you into that 60-degree angle. And this isn't the only Morgan hypercoaster to do that. I know Wild Thing is fairly similar. It's just a different sensation compared to like a B&M hypercoaster. But this first drop is fun. I definitely recommend the back row for this. The front is good too, but I think with all of the different moments that you'll find on Superman El Ultimo Escape, if you can only ride once, I would say sit in the back. You drop into a tunnel. It's fairly short, just covers the very bottom of the drop. And then you shoot up into an elevated hill. The first half of it starts off as an airtime hill, but then it transitions into a helix. And not just a single helix, it's really a double helix. This is the big twister part of Superman. And it's forceful, especially in this first part here. You bank to the left, flying through the trees, and when you hit these low points, you're going pretty freaking fast, and you're right up against the ground. You kind of do one full turn before rising back up, now into an even tighter helix, so yes, this part is even more intense. You do another one of those fake airtime hills where it starts off as a traditional hill, but this time you bank to the right. Again, you're right up against the ground. And then Superman enters one of its weird little kinks. Just some of these funny moments that give it character. You almost get some little lateral movement here as you transition to the right and then pop up into the mid-course brake run. And I know in particular with this ride, I really like this airtime moment as you're rising up into the mid-course, as well as when you drop out of it. I think those are the moments that probably stand out the most, interestingly enough. But following that, we have two very traditional airtime hills. And these are good. Like I mentioned, if you've done like Mamba or Steel Force or even Steel Dragon 2000, it's a pretty similar sensation. Definitely a lot of potential here for airtime. The only thing that could possibly steer away from that. From my experience at Six Flags Mexico, the ride operators are very aggressive with pushing down on your lap bar. They want to make sure that you are in there good and tight, so it's kind of hard to get that floaty sensation when you're locked in there pretty good. Just something to be aware of. But Superman has kind of a funny ending here. You bank to the right, you fly directly in between these two trees, weaving to the left. When you look to the right, you see some of those skyscrapers I was talking about earlier, and then you do this weird little bump into the brake run. It's a cool ride. I personally would not say it is my favorite roller coaster by Morgan. I still give that to Phantom's Revenge, but I know that if you ask some people, they'll tell you otherwise, and they'll say that this is their favorite Morgan. Just comes down to personal preference. I feel like Phantom tries to yank you more, and I'm a big fan of that sensation. I also think Phantom has a bit more character. But this is a very cool looking ride, very pretty in Six Flags Mexico's skyline, and it's also a great night ride. My favorite ride that I had on Superman was in the back row at night. It was running fantastic. I was very pleased with it. So for Superman El Último Escape's final score, I'm giving it an 8.5 out of 10. I think it's a very cool layout, has some enjoyable moments. I wouldn't say there's one moment in particular that stands out to me as that wow moment. You know, like there's always that one part of a roller coaster that everyone always talks about. I don't think Superman has one spot in particular that has that. So I think maybe that's something that I was looking for that I just felt the ride was missing. I think a good word to describe this ride would just be solid. You know, there's nothing inherently wrong with it. The ride's over 15 years old now. Are there a lot better, newer attractions out there of the same size? I mean, absolutely. You know, personally, I wouldn't say this roller coaster ranks super high for me in terms of the best roller coasters out there. But would I take it over Mamba or Steel Force? I mean, absolutely. And that's really all you need right there, is it's proof that Morgan was getting better as they were building their attractions. The only odd one out there is Phantom, just because it's in a little bit of a more unique situation because it was a transformation of a previous ride. But overall, I really enjoyed the attraction. So I'd love to hear from you guys down in the comments below. If you've ridden Superman El Último Escape, what did you think of it? Let me know if you agree or disagree with any of the thoughts I've made. And of course, stay tuned for more coaster reviews here at Coaster Studios, and we'll see you next time.